Hi everyone. I think this is recording. Cool thing about this camera is that you cannot see the mess on my desk. I love it. It is my huge pleasure to welcome you guys to our online English 111 class. I'm Jamie Edlin, your instructor. It is fine to call me Jamie, since presumably you're an adult, and so am I. I call this our English class because it is just as much your class as it is mine. And in this video, which is the first of many to come, I'm just here to talk to you guys about what to expect in the course and give you a few tips for success. And also to advise you on whether you have a strong chance of passing this class, whether you'll survive, depending on the type of learner and writer you are. In later videos, I'll check up on you all, let you know what's coming up in the class, address any writing issues that I see people having generally, and make any announcements I have for you. You'll want to watch these videos every time, even if it seems like a quote-unquote waste of time, or you're taking time out of an already busy schedule. You'll want to watch them anyway, or at least read their transcripts, because there'll almost always be some super useful information for you in there. I will try to post videos often, but I will also be posting non-video announcements here and there. Okay, so first off, I want to be clear that this is a totally self-driven class. Technically, yes, I am the instructor, but this being an online class, you won't find me standing in front of you lecturing, instructing you on how to do this or that. The course is thus pretty much self-taught, with some guidance and evaluation from me. This means a few things for you guys. One, since this is a tough, admittedly tough, self-driven class, it will help enormously to have some prior skills and knowledge in essay writing and critical reading. Two, if you don't have some knowledge base, or you haven't done well in English classes in the past, I will be really frank when I tell you that you will probably not do awesome here. I don't mean to say that you won't pass English 111 generally, or that you won't pass this class. I also don't mean to say that you will never do well in an English 111, but that, 3, if you aren't already okay at writing, online learning is not the best platform for you when it comes to English. Please think hard about this. You have until January 29th to decide if this course will be the right fit for you and still get a refund. And you have until April 14th to withdraw from the course without receiving a grade for it. I recommend that you click through the modules in this course and just see the amount of work that's involved. You can click through the calendar and do the same thing. There actually tends to be less work, believe it or not, in a face-to-face class than there does in an online section. Whatever you decide, if you do stay with the class, you have all of my support, but my strongest advice to you there is to turn in all of the work, even if you're not happy with its quality. The worst thing you can do is just stop showing up for face-to-face classes or stop doing the work for online classes. We don't automatically drop you from the class just because you stop doing the work. You have to drop yourself. So, just a little friendly advice there. I have a few words for you guys about the class and classwork that I think will help you in your progress throughout the course. As far as the workload for the class goes, you can most often expect every week to be working on all of the following types of assignments: a class reading from the textbook, a post or replies to posts on the discussion board, work on a draft of an assignment or providing commentary on someone else's assignment through a peer review, and occasionally completing a quiz or a test. Where you post your work is important, because if you don't post your work to the right place, I don't see it, therefore I can't grade it. My best advice to you is to figure out what is due and where to post it. Let me rewind a little bit. My best advice in figuring out what to do and where to post it is to read everything in the module, making sure you clearly understand what you're supposed to do, and then go to the calendar button in Ivy Learn, also known as Canvas, to see what types of assignments are due and when. Please note that, except in the last week of classes, assignments are due every Sunday by midnight. And just to let you know, module equals week. So module 1 is for week 1, module 2 for week 2, etc. Except for spring break, in which case there are no modules. Also, please know that while I will grade all of your work, I cannot leave feedback for all of it. There's so much work for this class, I just won't have the time. And frankly, you won't get much out of the comments unless I leave them for papers. So that is why I will usually only leave written feedback on rough drafts of papers, things that get revisions. And I'll only do so after your paper has been peer reviewed, so after the peer review period. Except for on final drafts, I mostly grade for effort. So on a rough draft of a paper, I'll say, yay, you pretty much did it. No major hiccups there. Now, here's what you want to fix for the final draft. But on final drafts of papers, I grade for quality. And I usually only grade on a rubric, unless you ask for a commentary. I'm kind in my commentary, but I'm really honest. If you didn't do something well, I'm going to tell you. That's because if no one tells you what to do differently in your work, no matter what the work is, you'll never improve on it. I'll do you no favors by inflating your ego. So you're just going to have to develop a little bit of a thick skin, just a little bit of a callus when it comes to receiving positive criticism, constructive criticism. If you feel a little bit burned by criticism, generally, my advice is just feel the burn, take a deep breath, and take my and other students' advice when and where it seems appropriate. When you get some advice from me on your writing, even if it's hard to take, maybe just try it out. It's the opinion of a professional, and you'll have nothing to lose in doing so and taking the advice. If you ever need or want more clarification on anything, like I gave you some feedback and you're like, I don't really know what that means, all you have to do is ask for that clarification. If I gave you a grade, you don't really know how you got that grade, even though you read the commentary. You are within your right to say, hey, I would like to know how it is that I earned this grade. Please ask nicely, though, and don't do that thing that people do where they're like, you gave me this grade, but I think I deserve an A. It's not so much about deserving as it's about whether or not you fulfilled what the assignment is asking for. That's really what you're shooting for. Also, please give careful consideration to what fellow students say about your work. While they may not be professional writers, they typically have a good sense about what needs improvement in other student papers. So don't just take my advice, like try to consider theirs as well. If you think someone's given you some just really wacky advice, you can write to me and say, hey, is this right? Should I follow this? For the record, I base the grades I give you all for your writing projects on the rubrics. By the way, a rubric is just a grading guide. A numerical grading guide has numbers attached to different tasks. So I base the grades I give you guys on your writing projects on rubrics that are within the writing project assignments themselves. You can actually see these rubrics and know how you're going to be scored. If you want to try to assess then how you're going to do on any given assignment, I definitely recommend checking those out. Use them as like a checklist as you're working on your papers. Also, you should see your grades appear just as soon as I am done grading them. If you don't see a grade, but you know you've submitted an assignment, it probably means I just haven't graded it yet. Just try to be patient, as it sometimes takes a little while for me to get to your assignments. I grade them carefully, deliberately, which translates to kind of slowly sometimes. You can usually expect a 1-week turnaround on smaller assignments and like a 1.5 to 2 week turnaround on higher stakes assignments like writing projects. If you're ever really anxious to know how you did on something or you'd like more feedback on it, you're always free to email me and ask. And typically I can get something to you a little bit sooner than expected. With email, you can expect to hear back from me within a day or 2, sometimes 3 if my inbox is just flooded. Please be patient there with me too. I just try really hard not to exceed an 8-hour workday. It's a quality of life thing. Side note, I have a new kid and I spend my evenings like staring at his face unless I have something really pressing to do. But you guys are important as well. If I'm ever taking too long, to get back to you, just write politely and be like, hey, did you get my email? And then we can go back and forth. Another for the record thing, hey, I did not create the course. Only the grades and feedback on your work and the late work policy, which is coming up soon in another announcement, and announcements, those come from me. But the assignments, readings, textbooks, rubrics, quizzes, none of those did I create. So don't shoot the messenger. Know that I cannot change anything within the course. I can't make things worth a different amount. I can't really like eliminate assignments if you're not digging something. But what I can do is clarify for you. If anything is unclear or unhelpful, you can let me know and I'll be able to help you understand what it is you're supposed to be doing. Next to lastly, I know this video is long, but it's laying some good groundwork for you guys. Next to lastly, I want to send out a strong, polite, firm warning about plagiarism. You guys should know that I take it very seriously. People who choose to copy and paste their work tend and pawn it off as their own do tend to fail their papers and their English classes. And that's as it should be. But actually, a lot of plagiarism cases occur when people plagiarize by accident. If you're plagiarizing by accident because you don't know how to cite your sources, which is most often how it happens, I will give you a 0 for the assignment, but we'll work with you on getting some credit back and making sure you don't plagiarize in the future. So it's not one of those things like you forgot to include a works cited page. You'll discover what that is later if you don't already know. You forgot to include a works cited page, 0 on the paper, no hope for you. You'll be able to write me and say, like, what can I do to get some credit back, and we'll work it out together. If you straight up copy and paste from someone else's work, though, you will receive no credit and will not have the opportunity to recuperate points. I think that's fair. I reserve the right to give no credit for even a tiny amount of plagiarism, even if you're like, but I just used like one sentence. I'm like, that's one sentence that didn't belong to you, that you didn't give credit for. Then it's still plagiarism. But it's not like I say, hey, don't plagiarize, and then I expect you to just know exactly what I'm talking about. You guys have a textbook that helps teach you what it is, but also in the second week I will make a video, or at least post an announcement that explains what by definition plagiarism is. It's lack of citation. That's it. I don't mean to spend a whole lot of time on it and scare the pants off of you. It's just something that comes up pretty commonly in this course and that I want to protect you from doing now and in the future. Okay, lastly, believe it or not, just a few bits of general advice for the course. This class asks a whole lot of you, but I think the most successful students are the ones who like put their heads down or keep them up, whatever works for you, and they just push through it. When it comes to doing the work, it's best to set up a schedule each week. Choose days when you know, like in the test run, you're asked to do this. Tuesdays when you know you're going to have some time to work for a little while, keep those appointments with yourself. Trying your best never to break them. Time and effort go quite a long way in this class, especially if you put the majority of your time and effort in the writing projects and, some effort in the smaller stakes assignments as well. You should know that I'm here to help you and that I am personally interested and invested in your doing well. If you have questions, you must not be afraid to ask them. If you want to know how you could have done better on something, and again, I haven't explained it well enough for you, you have to be willing to step up and ask for my help. If an assignment is in front of you and you have no clue how to even begin it, or you've begun it, have no idea how to continue it, again, you have to ask for help. Writing is a really private act where so much of the struggle with it happens under the surface, so you have to go public when you struggle with it. There is no shame in doing so. And you should know, also just after that it's not really up to me whether you do your work or even whether you do well on it. As I've said already, I'm here as your guide and your evaluator. But so much of how you do and what you do depends on what you're willing to put in and how carefully you take my comments into consideration. You can't blame me for the work you don't do, basically. And I can't tell you how to improve your work if you don't show me your work. So the takeaway here is do the work, do your best, come to me frequently when doing the work just seems like it's not going to happen. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to cover here in this first week. It's a lot. I know future videos will not be over 15 minutes long, but it's all important stuff. If you have followed me up to this point, thank you. Or even just read the transcript, thank you. I appreciate your sticking it out. I really do love what I do. I love teaching in any platform, really. I love writing. I love working with writing students, whether they're good at writing or not. Somehow, like weirdly, especially if they're not good at it. So I'm looking hugely forward to the semester with you all and to meeting you virtually and seeing what ideas you come up with and then helping you figure out how to turn those ideas into the best versions of themselves. Until we meet again, best of luck with this week's work. Please make sure to submit those first few assignments by their due date this coming Sunday at 11:59 p.m., just prior to midnight. Do that so that you're not dropped from the class. And I will see you all next week. Take care. Get in touch between now and then if you have any questions for me.